Welcome to Focal Point, where we cut through the noise to bring you the stories that matter. Imagine this: two world leaders, locked in a bitter feud, sitting inches apart in the sacred halls of St. Peter's Basilica. Their conversation could reshape the future of a war-torn nation. Today, we're diving into the stunning meeting between President Donald Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, a moment captured in jaw-dropping photos that have the world buzzing. What did they say? Why now? And what does it mean for global peace? Stick with us as we unpack it all. If you're just joining us, this is Focal Point, your source for unfiltered, in-depth news. This morning, the world woke up to extraordinary images from Rome, where President Trump and President Zelensky met face-to-face for the first time since their explosive White House clash 57 days ago. Let's get straight into what happened, why it matters, and what's at stake. The setting couldn't have been more symbolic. St. Peter's Basilica, a place of reverence and reflection, hosting a funeral for Pope Francis, a man who dedicated his life to peace and ending conflict. Amid the solemnity, cameras caught a moment that's now making headlines worldwide. President Trump and President Zelensky, perched on chairs inside the Basilica, engaged in what looked like an intense 15-minute conversation. These are two men who've openly clashed, with Trump recently saying he's not a fan of Zelensky, and Zelensky pushing back against Trump's approach to the Russia-Ukraine war. So what brought them together? The White House is calling this meeting very productive, but details are scarce. What we do know is that this encounter comes at a critical moment. The United States has proposed a controversial peace plan for Ukraine, one that would cede some Russian-occupied territories and recognize Russia's illegal annexation of Crimea back in 2014. Zelensky has flat out rejected this, saying it's a non-starter for Ukraine. This disagreement has fueled tension between the two leaders, especially after their last meeting in the Oval Office ended with Trump abruptly kicking Zelensky and his delegation out of the White House. But the photos tell a deeper story. In one image, Trump and Zelensky are seen speaking with France's President Emmanuel Macron and British Prime Minister Keir Starmer, suggesting this wasn't just a one-on-one, but part of a broader diplomatic moment. Another image shows the two men alone, leaning in, their expressions serious. It's a stark contrast to their fractious history, and it's hard not to wonder, was this a genuine attempt to bridge the gap, or just a photo op in a holy place? To understand why this meeting is such a big deal, let's rewind. The Russia-Ukraine war has been raging for years, with the U.S. providing billions in aid to Ukraine. Trump, however, has grown increasingly frustrated, saying he wants to end the conflict quickly. Just last week, he posted on Truth Social, hinting that Russia's recent bombardment of Kyiv, the worst in 9 months, suggests Putin might not want peace. Trump even floated using banking sanctions or other measures to pressure Russia, a shift from his earlier stance that both sides were eager for a deal. Zelensky, on the other hand, has been a global symbol of resistance. When he arrived in Rome, the crowd at St. Peter's Square erupted in applause, a reminder of the rock star welcome he once got in Washington, D.C. when he addressed Congress. But his relationship with Trump has been rocky. Trump's criticism of Zelensky for not showing enough gratitude for U.S. support has stung, and Zelensky's refusal to accept the U.S. peace plan has only widened the rift. This meeting wasn't planned publicly. Trump dodged reporters' questions about whether he'd meet Zelensky in Italy, and Zelensky only said he'd be open to it. The fact that it happened at all, and in such a high-profile setting, suggests both sides saw an opportunity or felt pressure to talk. So what's the significance of this Basilica sit-down? For one, it's a rare moment of diplomacy in an unconventional setting. St. Peter's Basilica isn't your typical venue for geopolitical talks, but Pope Francis's legacy of advocating for peace made it a fitting backdrop. The late pontiff often spoke about resolving conflicts and supporting the marginalized, values that resonate deeply in the context of Ukraine's struggle. But let's be real, the optics are huge. These images of Trump and Zelensky together are powerful, especially given their history. For Trump, it's a chance to show he's engaging on the world stage, even as he pushes a controversial peace plan. For Zelensky, it's a moment to keep Ukraine's fight front and center. especially in Europe, where leaders like Italy's Prime Minister, Giorgia Meloni, remain staunch supporters. Still, the lack of transparency raises questions. Neither side has shared much about what was said, and Zelensky's brief comments as he left Rome didn't reveal much. Trump, meanwhile, is already back in New Jersey, posting on Truth Social about his frustrations with Russia. This suggests the meeting didn't resolve the core issues, but it might have opened a door for future talks. Then there's the broader context. The funeral brought together dozens of world leaders, monarchs, presidents, prime ministers, creating a unique opportunity for sideline diplomacy. The fact that Macron and Starmer were part of the conversation hints at a coordinated effort to address the war. Europe, unlike Trump, has largely rejected the idea of rewarding Russia for its invasion, and Zelensky's warm reception in Rome underscores that support. Here at Focal Point, we know our viewers care about what's happening on the global stage. This meeting isn't just about two leaders talking. It's about the future of a war that's displaced millions, disrupted global economies, and raised fears of escalation. If Trump pushes his peace plan, it could reshape Eastern Europe. If Zelensky holds firm, the war could drag on, with the U.S. caught in the middle. And for those of us watching, it's a reminder of how fragile peace can be, and how much rides on moments like this. That's it for today's deep dive on Focal Point. What do you think about Trump and Zelensky's Basilica meeting? Could it be a turning point or just another chapter in their rocky relationship? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you never miss an update. We'll be back tomorrow with more news that keeps you in the know. Stay sharp, stay focused, and we'll see you next time.